All right. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, I'm hitting record and admit. Thank you for joining us. If I haven't had the chance to interact with you yet, my name is Katie Flowers, and I have the privilege of directing the Centers for Community Engagement and Service Learning and the Centennial Center for Leadership. And tonight, we celebrate the work and growth of 14 remarkable Summer of Service interns. This is such a joyful occasion. As Julia mentioned in our warm-up, this is one of the just most fun, vibrant events of the summer. And in the chat, I'm going to post a link to a word cloud that you can add to throughout the presentations as the spirit moves you. So 3 words, you can add more than once, but we'll have a chance to revisit that at the conclusion to kind of just reflect on some of the words that moved us all. Since its launch in 2011, this program has hosted 118 interns who have contributed over 30,000 hours of service in the greater Geneva area. It began with an AmeriCorps grant through Campus Compact, and like many grants, ended after a few years. But thanks to the vision and generosity of Hobart alumnus Tom Patchett and trustee Marguerite Murphy and Dr. Brian Cooper, the program has continued and has grown stronger each year. I'm so grateful that they were able to join us tonight. Thank you for coming. Our May orientation, friends, it feels like a very long time ago. And we had some check-ins and reflections throughout June and July. I'm confident, though, that they'll tell you the highlight of our time together was the boat trip and lunch at Stivers Marina, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute. These students have spent the summer immersed in our Geneva community, getting to know its people, its beauty, and enjoying some fun summer events along the way. They've made lasting contributions, learned from community leaders, and built relationships that will continue long after their internships and the summer comes to an end. This summer's interns collectively contributed more than 3,500 hours of service with the Boys and Girls Club. I see our leadership here tonight. Geneva 2030, and Cecil. And in addition to our friends mentioned earlier, we are deeply grateful to our funding partners, including additional support from the Boys and Girls Club, the Max and Marian Farish Charitable Foundation, and the Rochester Area Community Foundation, as well as the ESL Charitable Trust. This is a powerful example of the multiplier effect, where an initial belief in this program led to further engagement, which has since expanded our outreach. To our site supervisors and program partners, thank you. You all play a vital role in helping our students grow into thoughtful, capable professionals. And learning certainly happens in the classroom, but it also happens when an intern sees the importance of free summer programs for local families, connects with alumni about what it means to lead a life of consequence, or enjoys their college community as a result of connections that you've made possible. Your mentorship is as impactful as it is lasting. So we will have time for questions at the end. And I am so glad to officially start the presentation. Without further ado, he says confidently that their screen, and we had our dry run yesterday, so thank you again, and off and running. Can everyone see this okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, Maya.
Hi, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Maya Nichols. I was an intern for Students Outside all summer. I worked on the more academic side with kids around 8 to 10 years old. So next slide. So a lot of the kids would ask me, why do we have to be outside all day? And while I wouldn't exactly tell them the actual, like, oh, risk taking, here's two of the big things I noticed. First of all, one kid told me she spent 8 hours a day on her tablet, and this was just a bunch of clicking and scrolling, as opposed to one example that I kind of like from an interaction I had with a kid was, oh, I didn't want to jump from the highest branch because I might get hurt, so I jumped from a lower branch. This is this kind of risk taking where you're still taking the risk, but you're past experiences and kind of what you're seeing around you create, more of a thought process than just clicking would. Additionally, creativity, when they came, a lot of them didn't know the rules to games that I played in my childhood, like Wax Museum or even like kickball. But soon they were creating their own games, such as it's called the fast game, which involves like bouncing a ball a certain number of times. I don't really understand the rules fully, but they have fun and that's what matters. Okay, next slide, please. So who am I? I'm a psychology and English double major with a minor in child advocacy, sorry. And my leadership roles in college are I'm president of Students for Humanitarian Justice, and I'm the DEI representative of the debate team, as well as in high school, I did a lot of work with making sure students got their accommodations. And then that's me reading with Cedric, one of our younger kids. He's very adorable. And for the future, I want to work with neurodivergent kids with diagnosing. So I approach this a lot from the view of my child advocacy minor and how organizations work. So some things I noticed were, first of all, that leadership is not just about one person. We all have ideas, and although one idea may work, there's always something that could be better. An example of this is my boss, Heather, coming and saying, oh, like, we have lunchtime and mat time in the same area, but that doesn't have the kids be calm. So instead, we moved mat time to a different area, and that really helped kind of just smooth things over. Additionally, there's no time for, oh, this is above my pay grade, or I'm too good for this. What matters is the children, and Geneva 2030 and Students Societal Summer really showed me that when you want to get something done, you just kind of have to do what you can. Lastly, every child deserves everything. We had a kid who would, want to get into fights a lot and wouldn't really communicate with us when he was upset, but he was just mirroring what he saw at home. And Karina, one of my other bosses, really showed him breathing work and, how to calm down without wanting to resort to fighting. And really, we did see a difference in how he would come to us, or he would be like, I'm upset right now. And it really shows that every child deserves to be sat down and have things explained to them or, just empathized with. So next slide, please. So how I grew. First of all, kids will sometimes not like you or they'll be very much attached to you. And you have to understand that that's just either how they are or just something going on at home. And sometimes you can't change it. And sometimes you have to work with them where they are. That being said, discipline is a big thing. Boundaries, such as, please, when I'm giving instructions, be in front of me or don't, yell in my face. Just things like that. Also self-discipline. Sometimes I wanted nothing more than to be doom scrolling on TikTok. But the kids are important and you can't do that. So just getting up and playing kickball with them. And lastly, creativity, because sometimes something would fall through or kids finished early and you had to think on the spot of things to do. Okay, next slide, please. So also just being a phone-free camp really helped us be in the moment. And here's a photo of when some fire trucks came and gave us water. It was very fun. Next slide. So who we do it for. These are just a bunch of my kids. A quick example is one of my kids has oppositional defiance disorder. So he really did not like listening to us, but throughout the weeks at camp, he really opened up to us. And even although this seems small, um, he ended up putting a board game away for me, which again, for quote unquote normal children, this might seem like nothing, but it was a very big step for him that came because we worked with him and we would give him positive affirmation and we would ask him to, when he did something wrong, face the consequences. So thank you for the opportunity to do this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maya. Great job. All right. And Emma.
Hello, my name is Emma Sherwood, and over the summer I worked at the Boys and Girls Club of Geneva at Carter Road through HWS as a summer service intern. Next slide, please. To tell you a little bit about myself, I'm a rising sophomore at the colleges. I'm a biochemistry major. I'm a writing colleague, and I have my first placement in the fall semester as in a freshman seminar. And I'm a member of the student organizations HWS Votes and HWS Students for Humanitarian Justice. In addition, at home, I worked with children a lot. I was a basketball and soccer coach for about 3 years. Next slide, please. Some things about the BGC that were about my everyday life. I interacted with about 50 kids every day. There were 6 different areas: the games room, the art room, nature room, STEM room, teen lounge, and the gym, which was where I was at. And every Friday we went on some field trips. Some of my favorite ones were Seabreeze, the Rosamond Gifford Zoo, and the Clubhouse Fun Center. Next slide, please. To tell you a little bit about my role, as I just said, I was in the gym, so some of my tasks were to maintain the gym materials, safety and cleanliness, making sure all of the equipment was up to standard, and making sure the children were using it properly, organizing the gym activities every day. We had 3 kids' choices and 3 rotations every day, so I had to come up with a lot of plans and make plans that were entertaining but also kept the kids moving and engaged, guiding the members in sportsmanship and nurturing relationships, making sure the kids are working in a team, are encouraging each other, are helping each other out, being kind to one another, and helping them develop relationships with peers that they already know or might not already know, and eventually helping them develop relationships with the staff too. And most importantly, making sure the members are safe while they play, upholding the rules of the games that we play, no roughhousing, all that kind of stuff. Next slide, please. Some of the skills that I learned in this role: patience, adaptability, leadership, compassion, conflict resolution, and communication. In my opinion, communication is 100% the most important, and none of these skills can exist without communication. In the gym, it's the only area at the Boys and Girls Club where the kids can run around and be a little loud. So a lot of the time they would get pretty competitive, and there were some verbal scuffles and disagreements. So as the mentor, as the coordinator, it was my job to help facilitate discussion and problem solve, which takes a lot of patience, keeping a calm mind, being able to listen. You also have to be adaptable. You don't know which children you're working with. You don't know the situation. You kind of have to go off of the members and the children and be on your toes at all times. Leadership, being able to be the mentor and model good behavior, model teamwork, model collaboration, and model the problem solving skills that the kids will need. Compassion, being able to put forth the effort to solve the problem, hear the children out, have empathy, put yourself in the kids' shoes. Conflict resolution, actually find a solution to the problem that is occurring, and none of this could happen without communication. Next slide, please. What does the future hold? For me, I am excited to be able to continue my position in the fall and the spring at the Boys and Girls Club at Carter Road. For me, it is really exciting to be able to be a part of the Geneva community, especially with the children of Geneva, because they are the future of Geneva itself. Next slide, please. And here's some photos from our field trips. I want to say thank you for Katie and Peter, and also the donors who make summer service possible for all of us.
Thank you, Emma. Great job. I know we have a lot to cover tonight. It's hard. And thank you. Peter's going to post the Mentimeter in the chat where you can make note of words as they come to you. So next up, we are here to, we'll hear from Joya.
So I'm a marketing and communications intern with Cecil this summer. A little bit about me. I'm a rising junior. I'm a part of the class of 2027. I'm a business management and entrepreneurship major with a concentration in strategic communication and professional writing. And I'm also a double minor in studio art and critical museum studies. Last semester, I was the Cecil civic leader for marketing and social media, and my hometown is Buffalo, New York. And a little bit about my roles. I had a couple different ones this summer. With Cecil, I assisted with miscellaneous tasks in the office. One of the big ones including relocating from Trinity Hall to 603 South Main. And I also assisted with designs for the case exhibit, which I'll get into a little bit later. I also created a promotional video for Geneva 2030's Mission Summer Smart. And I created different marketing materials for the Boys and Girls Club of Geneva. And a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club. Some of my tasks each week included visiting the Carter and Goodman clubs to create content for toddler time and Friday activities, including Water Day and Tie-Dye Day. And I also helped create their summer newsletter. And I also got the exciting opportunity to go on field trips to gather content for social media posts, which was definitely very fun. Next slide, please. Here are just some snippets from the summer newsletter pages that I put together. The one in the middle is toddler time. I did a lot of work putting together a little bit more information for parents and maybe people in the Geneva community don't know about, what toddler time is and the opportunity that they can just bring their kids in for free, their snacks, lots of games. Also highlighted some of the field trips. Next slide, please. This is my Geneva 2030 video that I put together. For the Geneva 2030 part of this position, I was reaching out to Mission Summer Smart partners to gather content to promote summer opportunities for youth in Geneva. Technology permitting, we should be able to show a little bit of the video, but Katie, you can let me know if that works.
Katie permitting that technology. Okay, fingers crossed. And can you hear? No. It even worked in the dry run.
If it doesn't work, I can drop a link in the chat if anybody wants to go back and look at it later on.
Yep, that's a good idea. It's phenomenal, and it gives parents a lot of ideas about various opportunities that kids can do in the summer. Sorry about that, Joya.
Oh, it's okay.
And back to share.
Another interesting part of my summer was working with the CASE exhibit with Juliana Thornburg. CASE stands for Celebrating Alumni Service Engagement, and it's an exhibit that we're putting on for Alumni Weekend 2026 in the Davis Gallery. I had been able to create graphics for the exhibit, such as a map showcasing where HWS alumni served around the world, and that's on the lower right image. And then the top image is me and Juliana interviewing an alum, Anthony Carey, about his time in Turkey, which was really exciting. He traveled to campus to meet with us, and I helped record the interview. Next slide, please. Here are just some fun photos from this summer between Boys and Girls Club and Mission Summer Smart organizations. Next slide. A couple more honorable mention photos. And next slide, please. And then what's next for me? I want to further my knowledge in graphic design and marketing by pursuing my concentration in strategic communication and professional writing. I also want to continue promoting opportunities for the community of Geneva through Cecil. And finally, I want to continue working with Mission Summer Smart organizations that I've had the opportunity to become familiar with, such as the Salvation Army and the Dove Block Project. They've both asked me to come back and highlight events going on in the fall. Next slide. And thank you for listening. And an extra special thank you to Katie Flowers and Peter Budman from Cecil, Heather Mills from Geneva 2030, Ryan Kincaid from Boys and Girls Club, and Megan Jordan from the Davis Gallery. Thank you.
Thank you, Joya. Well done. Next, we are here to hear from Lung.
Hi, my name is Long, and for this summer, I work at the Boys and Girl Clubs in Goodman Street. Next slide, please. So a little bit about me. I am a rising junior. I double major in education and psychology. I am from Hanoi, Vietnam, so I'm international students. I've been tutors for Boys and Girl Clubs, both in Carter's and Goodman's, for 3 semesters now, and this is my first summer in Geneva. Next one, please. So, my role, I am an activity coordinator and a nature specialist. My responsibility consists of planning and organizing the nature room, um, make sure all the activities goes well during the in the nature rooms. Also monitor and ensuring the safety and well-being of all members, and just to create some impactful memories for all the kids in the summer. Here are some pictures in the nature room. As you can see, we have many themes for each week's There's insect weeks where we all go out and catch bugs. There's water weeks where we make boats out of materials that you can find in natures. We also have friendship weeks where we learn about animal symbiosis. Next one, please. So on every Friday, the Boys and Girls Clubs organize a field trip to all members. It's include going to a zoo, museums, trampoline park, water park, and science center. Next one, please. So what the reason why the field trip are so important, I think, is because it's help all the kids to get out of Geneva and explore. Also, we have many small kids from 4 to 8, so it could be the first time to go into a water park, the zoo, the museum. So it's important for for all of the staff to make sure they have the best memory they can. Next one, please. So throughout the Boys and Girls Clubs, I've learned many lessons and skills, leaderships. We work with small kids, so they tend to ignore what you say, our instructions. So it is important for me that I can make sure that all the kids can enjoy the activities through leadership, problem solving. Um, there's a lot of unexpected circumstances that can happen during club time. So it is important that you can solve the problem as fast as possible and make sure all the kids are safe. Communications. During our field trip, we have to go out a lot where, so it's important that all the staff communicate together, make sure all the kids safe, make sure all the kids having funs and patience. Again, we work with small kids, so uh, they it's it's hard for them to do all the activities. So it is important that we show them support and um, show them that we cares. So just patience. Next one, please. Uh, Lastly, I just want to say thank you to all the staff members that I work with, also Miss Allison, and thanks for all the donors. Thank you.
Job long. Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Kayla.
Hi, I'm Kayla. This summer, I worked as an assistant forest instructor for students outside all summer with Geneva 2030. Next. So a little bit about me. I am a junior, double majoring in biology and public health and minoring in environmental studies. I am from East Los Angeles, California. I plan to go to medical school and become a pediatrician. Some organizations that I am involved on campus are Latin American Student Organization, Theta Phi Alpha, Tutor Corps, STEM Scholars, and Posse. Next. So my personal connection is, well, the summer enrichment program offers students a free opportunity to explore science and the outdoors, which are experiences many kids in underserved communities can access otherwise. Coming from a low socioeconomic status family and community, I always found these types of programs and organizations like Geneva 2030 to be beneficial because it helps kids discover new passions, have role models, make new friends, and create a home away from home, overall contributing to a child's future. So I know firsthand what this means for kids, and I'm happy that I was able to provide that same opportunity. This program has also allowed me to share my knowledge, encourage curiosity, and pursue my passion with working with kids. Next. So my role, I was an assistant forest instructor. I led morning and afternoon activities. I helped lead outdoor activities like foraging, structured play, nature-based crafting, and exploration. I supported students from ages 7 to 12 in building confidence, academic skills, and a love for learning through engaging hands-on lessons. I also assisted with supervision and making sure I created a safe and joyful and curious environment. I collaborated with the forest instructor on weekly plans and activities. And I also helped bilingual speaking students understand activities and lessons. Next. So some of my favorite memories were swimming at the creek. Kids weren't afraid to pick up insects and snakes. Also going on our field trips, going on our nature walks, playing tetherball, and when kids would present their posters for their animals of the week. And also when the firefighters came and we all got wet. Next. So main takeaways. I developed leadership skills by leading children through the woods and activities and helping them build their confidence. I also learned the importance of patience and staying calm in challenging situations. I strengthened my problem-solving skills by resolving any disagreements or conflicts between the kids. And I also gained a further understanding and appreciation for kids that came with diverse backgrounds. Built teamwork skills by collaborating with other interns and teachers, and I formed strong connections with the children that I worked with. So my next steps are that I plan to continue being part of Tutor Corps as a tutor for Spanish speaking students. I also want to apply the skills I developed this summer when I'm working with kids, whether it's with Tutor Corps, babysitting, or volunteering. And I want to pursue my passion for working with children and aiming for a career in the pediatrics field. And thank you for Geneva 2030, Heather and Cecil and everybody that I worked with. And thank you for the donors that making this possible.
Kayla. Wonderful. All right. Next, we'll go from Asher. I know it's a lot to pack into 14 of you. Keep it going. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Asher Landis, and I'm one of two academic tutors at the Geneva 2030 Students Outside All Summer program. I'm part of a 5-person HWS intern team. A little bit about me. I'm a rising junior, and this is my first ever summer in Geneva. Hopefully not my last. I'm an economics major with double minors in data analytics and public policy. Um, my true home is the amazing Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can see it there in the photo. And lastly, of course, I love my internship and my role helping students develop their literacy skills and building personal connections with them has been amazing. Next slide. So at my role, I'm an academic tutor for 14 students in attendance, and I have the goal with helping them develop language comprehension skills, handwriting skills, and reading comprehension skills. And me, along with the other tutor, we use the Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons textbook as just like the framework for our teachings, and um also doing supplemental readings. Like for example, they love classic children's tales and surprisingly, autobiographies and biographies. They're really engaged when we read those. Next slide, please. So as part of my responsibilities and daily activities, I keep constant communications with my on-site coordinators and instructors about the progress that I see with my students. I also report back to directors and of Geneva 2030 at Cecil about that progress, and and keep implementing data in a spreadsheet about it. And in addition to that, I love to assist on field trips and providing morning and end of day activities. In the photo on the left, that was one of my favorites. We went to the Ontario County Fair and we saw like a bunch of live animals. On the right was only like 2 weeks ago, we took them to the Tuggahanic State Falls, which was a lot of fun. Next slide, please. Some of my favorite memories were definitely like getting to know my campers' families better at a family barbecue last week. And the second one was really sweet. It was one of my students telling me I'm her favorite part of the day. I know that kids would much rather like engage in summer fun activities, so I'm really glad that I can make this educational experience enjoyable. And I loved assisting the field trips to the Rochester Art Museum and watching the campers learn about different art movements and cultures. It was really, really enriching for me as well. Next slide, please. And lastly, the takeaways that I got from this, I definitely learned amazing leadership skills by helping to guide my students through activities and assisting with the classroom activities and my instructors. I definitely learned how to implement research-based curriculums. Um, and third, I learned how to monitor student progress, and I definitely learned how to be adaptable and how to listen and see what students need best so that they can thrive with me every single lesson. And lastly, I definitely learned communication skills by constantly checking in with my on-site instructors and managers, and definitely my students. Lastly, thank you to the donors for making this possible. This summer was amazing.
Thank you, Asher. Nice work. All right. Next, I think we saw Juliana.
Hi, my name is Juliana Thornburg, and I was the Celebrating Alumni Service Engagement Exhibit intern. Joya already talked a little bit about it, but I'll tell you a little more about it. Next slide. So it's a little bit about me before I say anything about the exhibit. I'm a rising sophomore. I'm majoring in history, minoring in critical museum studies, and I'm from Rochester. Next semester, I will be the DEI coordinator for the Pride Club, and I will also be taking on a leadership role in the Herald. Next slide, please. So my job as the Celebrating Alumni Service Engagement Exhibit intern is basically to create a history exhibit about Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, City Year, Teach for America, organizations of that nature of service is what I was focused on. And so when we first started this project, Joya and I sat down and thought really critically about what we wanted. Joya pitched the map, which is like a service location for every alumni, and then also physical objects, photographs, an interactive element, a little reflection area, stuff like that. But obviously, we didn't start out with any of that stuff. So the majority of my job is spent researching and compiling information regarding alumni service, location, organization, and service dates. So I did this in a variety of ways. I went through the HWS Physical Archive. I went through the Hobart and William Smith Quarterly, which was the older version of the alumni magazine. I went through digital archives like the Library of Congress and the Smithsonian. I went through Peace Corps specific archives, and I also just went online and tried to find little tidbits here and there of people who had written articles and were also HWS alumni about it and stuff about their Peace Corps experience. So doing that, I managed to compile information on 350 out of 450 alumni that were on my spreadsheet. And so then the second part of my project was to talk to actual alumni about their experiences and understand what does it mean to live a life of consequence? What does it mean to live a life of service? And how can that influence you later on? Not only so that we would have footage to make into a little 8-minute video segment that would be able to go in the exhibit, but also to inform my understanding of the Peace Corps and the AmeriCorps, why it's important and why this exhibit is important, as well as to create an oral history archive so that the same can be done for other people who don't get to do this project with me. And then in those oral history interviews, a lot of times it would come up with that alumni would have photographs or they would have physical artifacts. So those, I would ask them to share those. I would give them a Google Drive link if they have photos. If they had a physical artifact, we would talk about maybe loading it to the exhibit. And so I managed the curation of that as well. And then obviously my final most important job is to create a museum layout for the Davis Gallery using those physical objects and all that information I've gathered. So that's what I'm starting to do at the end of the summer. And then my other job is to create an ArcGIS map of HWS service alumni. In any history exhibit, you're never going to have enough space to put everything you want on the walls. So you're going to have to compromise. So the ArcGIS map is kind of a way to compromise and have other alumni be highlighted, but maybe not be on the walls of the exhibit. And these are just photos of me researching. And then that's a photo of Mark Guerin when he was the Peace Corps director, and he's on C-SPAN. So next slide, please. So the future of this project, in the spring, I will be continuing this project just because it was such a vast body of research and it was just a huge thing to take on. And the scope was huge. So in the spring, I'll be taking on a half-credit course with my supervisor, Megan Jordan, the curator of the Davis Gallery, just to finish up the work here. And in October, I'll be meeting with President Guerin to discuss his input on the exhibit, things that maybe he'd like to put in it. I've saved space for him on the walls so that he could hang up a couple things. This photo here is actually something that he left in his office the first time he came back, the first time he left as president. So we have that, and I'll ask him to let me put that in the gallery. And then also I have to finish a lot of the responsibilities outlined from before, which is the point of needing the spring half credit course. Next slide, please. And so what did I learn from this project? Research, obviously. I had to do a lot of research, and it wasn't just research through archives. There was a lot of like scrappy research, a lot of looking for like one newspaper article, a lot of looking through LinkedIn posts, those sorts of things to find little bits of information about alumni. And then, of course, there's rejection. It's not finding anything about alumni. It's emailing the Smithsonian and not having them reply to you and then continuing to email the Smithsonian. It's just being okay with not getting a result out of what you're doing. And then the end product of that, of course, is learning some resilience, being like, okay, this didn't work out. How can I do this a different way? Or maybe I need to cut my losses here and walk away. So next slide, please. So research work doesn't really get me out in Geneva, and it's kind of just sitting behind a desk. It's kind of just going through paper materials and archive, not very fun. So I went out in Geneva by volunteering as a docent at the Dove Block, volunteering at a Sunday community kitchen. I actually cooked a meal this weekend with my boyfriend. We cooked buffalo chicken and mac and cheese, and then I also picked cherries at one point out in Geneva, and that's a picture of me as a kid picking cherries. Next slide. And then I want to thank, everyone who made this possible. Megan Jordan was hugely helpful during this project. Katie Flowers is a great supervisor. And I want to thank all of the people who sponsor Summer of Service because I really enjoyed the work I got to do, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without you.
Thank you, Juliana. I know it was hard to pack all that into just a few minutes for all of you too. It's so hard. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Rebecca, who is at SOS with Geneva 2030.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and like what Katie said, my summer service internship was working with Geneva 2030 at the Students Outside All Summer Camp. Next slide, please. So some things about me. I graduated from HWS this past May with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Sociology and Education. I'll be coming back to HWS this year to pursue my master's degree in the Arts of Teaching. I am working towards being certified in teaching grades 1 through 6 in general education and special education. And lastly, I love running and was on the William Smith cross country team all 4 years of undergrad. Next slide, please. So I worked at SOS camp this summer so far, and this camp is provided through funding by Geneva 2030, which leads to this camp being free for all Geneva kids, which is awesome because it provides them with lots of opportunities they might not otherwise have. This is a 6-week summer camp that has 6 different themes. Students are outside all day, with half the time spent focusing on academic time and the other half focused on forest time. The forest exploration time focuses on developing and growing social emotional skills like connectedness, friendships, and problem-solving confidence. And the other half of the day, which is focused on academics, works towards mastering foundational literacy and math skills through creative project-based learning, hands-on learning, and experiential learning. There are about 60 kids each week with 5 camp groups, which range from kids entering 1st grade to kids entering middle school, as well as a field trip each week. Next slide, please. So my role. I was also a literacy tutor at SOS camp. I tutored 13 to 14 campers 3 times a week for 30 minutes each. So I worked with the younger campers ranging from going into 1st grade to going into 3rd grade. So the session would start off with me going to get the child. We'd often race to the session or do some sort of fun movement activity to make it more enjoyable, the tutoring session. And then I would just do a little check-in with the camper to see how they're doing and what they've done so far. And then I would do 1 to 2 lessons in the Teach Your Child to Read and 100 Easy Lessons. book. This book was how we framed our tutoring sessions, and it is very direct and explicit instruction. There's a script for what the instructor should say and model, as well as the responses we should get back from the campers. Then we would read 1 to 2 books together. We would end with a game if time and or free draw. I would also give campers a sticker as a reward for their listening and doing great reading during the session. I also conducted 2 assessments each week with the campers as shown on the screen, the nonsense word fluency assessment and the oral reading fluency assessment, which were ways to check in with the progress the campers had and to see if there's anything else we should focus on and work on with the campers. And then I led a choice activity at the end of the day during the creative period, which often was Uno and or soccer. Next slide, please. Here are some of the lessons and skills that I learned. The first one is explicit and direct instruction. Working with the Teach Your Child to Read book, that was lots of explicit and direct instruction, so I was able to better grow that skill. I also had to be flexible working with campers and all the other all my coworkers. I had to work on my time management because sometimes you would have fun activities and that would influence when I was able to tutor certain campers or how long I tutored them for. I had to be patient and collaborate with all the campers and my coworkers. Next slide, please. Here's SOS Camp and photos. A lot of the photos are from some of the lovely field trips we had, as well as some of the tutoring sessions. As you can see, all the campers are super happy in all the photos. These are some of my favorite pictures from the summer, and it's been a really good summer so far. Next slide, please. My future plans, like I said, I'll be in the MAT program this year. I'll be student teaching in a 5th grade classroom in Geneva. I'm really excited to see a lot of the campers again this coming year at North Street. I'm hoping to be an elementary school general ed or special education teacher post the master's program. This experience has taught me important lessons and skills that will stay with me and be crucial as a soon-to-be teacher. I'm excited to apply everything I've learned to this coming year and the future. I'm really grateful for this opportunity and this experience. Thank you.
Great job. Thanks, Becca. Great. And next we'll hear from Anna. Thank you so much. Everyone's breathing a sigh of relief, I know, as you finish up.
All right. Hi, everyone. You can go to the next slide. I'm Anna. I'm a rising sophomore majoring in psychology with a focus in child behavior. So during the school year, I tutor for HWS Tutor Corps to Geneva kids. So this summer, I worked as an academic intern for SOS. SOS is a free program ran by Geneva 2030 and Moody's Children Hours for lower income families. Working with Geneva 2030 expanded my knowledge on their Cradle to Career initiative, where their mission is to provide resources for Geneva kids regardless of their background. Next. So our usual day at SOS, every morning interns arrive at 8:15 and we work with our teacher on planning our day. Our campers arrive from 8:30 to 9 o'clock and they play in the sunken garden until we call for their morning groups. Our theme games usually correlate with our weekly theme, and I'm a classroom assistant for younger groups, Acorn and Hickory, so I teach 1st through 3rd graders. Our lessons finish a couple minutes before lunch, so I play in the sunken garden until called. When the kids finish lunch, they go into mat time and they read or they get read to. After mat time, they play in the garden for a couple minutes before we call for our afternoon groups. With Acorn, they're in 3rd grade, so they're given a more advanced lesson, but usually they're given the same lesson. After we clean up our space, they go into the garden while the interns run our 3 o'clock activity. These activities usually range from tetherball, hula hooping, sign language, etc., while the kids wait to be picked up by their parents. At the end of the day, we clean up the garden. The schedule is done outside all day. So that means they are outside no matter if it's raining, they grab their raincoat, they will be outside all day, and they only go inside unless it's to go to the bathroom or if there's extreme weather. Next slide. So each week we have a new theme and they're able to learn the common core subjects like English, history, math, and science, while also having fun outside. So forest engineers, they correlate with simple machines, forest market food planning, foraging for plants, wilderness warriors, storytelling, navigation, cosmic colors, art week, so we got to make paintings and arts and crafts where the parents could see them at our picnic. Nature trackers, ecosystems, habitats, insects, and Wild Water Week. So water cycles, identifying aquatic animals, and fishing. Next. So what I learned was with time management with our schedules is very important for us to stay on time. Teamwork by working with my teachers and fellow interns, I'm able to collaborate with them on making a very enjoyable experience for our kids. And timely decisions, there are times where there's conflict and or they're not engaged, so you have to like make sure that they're still having fun, while also understanding like they can't do some things that they want, like you can't play tetherball or try to do a classroom activity. And sometimes you just have to make a decision on the spot. And patience. So sometimes the kids do something wrong or something they're not supposed to be doing. So I always have to approach the situation with a lot of patience, even though the kids are not going to listen the first time. So you still have to be patient no matter how upset or annoyed you might get. And next slide. So what's next? As I'm going into my sophomore year at HWS, I fully intend on continuing my job as a tutor for Tutor Corps as well as a volunteer, as well as looking into volunteering experiences in Geneva. And lastly, as I end up this presentation, here's a photo I captured of my kids, Jacob and Lincoln, in the tree. So Jacob's in the red shirt, as you can see, he's right there. And if you guys look very closely, next slide, Lincoln is all the way up in that tree. Looked away for 2 minutes. He's right there. And next slide. And lastly, I would like to end off the presentation with you guys seeing a bunch of the kids at field trips. We went to a temple where the kids could like play and bake blueberry cakes. Next slide. And we have Noelle covered in shaving cream, the kids doing some drawings, the kid cabin reading to our class. And yeah, it was a really good experience. And thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, Anna. Fun trees. That's what they do. Nate,
All right.
we hear next.
Hello,
from you.
everyone.
Thank you.
I'm Nate. My name is Nate Morgan, and it's my presentation about the summer at the Boys and Girls Club. So about me, I'm a rising junior majoring in architecture at the colleges. I've tutored with the Tutor Corps the 4 semesters I've been here, and for 3 of those, I've been a site coordinator. And just some other things I've done at campus is been a community assistant, and this will be my second year. Next slide. Thank you. So at the Boys and Girls Club, I was at Carter Road and I was in the STEM hallway. And in the STEM hallway, it was kind of my job to, keep track of the kids, make sure they're not causing too much chaos, but then also like create STEM activities that are engaging and things they want to do. And so, as mentioned earlier, at the Boys and Girls Club, we have like 6 time blocks, 3 kids' choices, and 3 rotations. Um, and so I'd create STEM projects for each one of those blocks. Um, and most of my time during the summer, I was by myself in the STEM hallway, which, had its challenges, but then it also allowed me to put my own spin on things. And being majored in architecture, a lot of my projects involved like building things and thinking through that mindset, which was a lot of fun for me, hopefully for them too. But at the club, my main goal was really to build positive relationships with the members, but then also with STEM. Sometimes it can be a hard thing to want to do when, gym is an option or you can go outside, do a nature walk. And so I wanted them to really get familiar with STEM as an option. Next slide. Thank you. So how did I grow over the summer? As I said, STEM kind of being a challenge to get exciting, I realized that I too had to be excited about it. And so that's why like kind of bringing architecture into it was good for me because I had to be excited about the projects we were doing if I wanted there to be any chance for them to do them. And so that was kind of a learning moment of how do I need to adjust my approach and like my mindset to get them to want to participate. But then kind of on the other hand of that, I also learned that some kids do need a little push. And like at the start of the summer, I would, present my project and a good chunk would be like, sweet, let me dive in. But then there'd always be 1 or 2 who are like, yeah, no thanks. I'm not doing that. I'll just sit here. And at first I'd be like, okay, like you do you. But I realized that kind of like you have to give a push. Like these projects can be intimidating. And like once you get them going and helping, they'll want to get involved. Next. Thank you. All right. My highlights for the summer was definitely the field trips. I mean, like I was always looking forward to Friday. Like the field trips were so fun and they really brought everyone together. And I don't think the whole weeks or like the relationships would work without the field trips because I think they're so important to the staff and the members kind of like losing those titles of being staff and members. Like on the field trips, obviously you really have to make sure you're a staff and keeping everyone safe. but the relationship during that time becomes much more casual and like I'm just there to have a good time. Obviously, I want to keep everyone safe, but like that the picture of Eliana and I in the go-kart, like the entire time we're racing around, like she's singing, I'm trash talking the other students I'm racing, and it was really just a fun time. And then also like being able to build relationships with the kids throughout the weeks and then on the field trips, is just was like amazing, and I'm really gonna appreciate that. I'm excited. All right, and I just want to say thank you. I had an amazing summer, and thank you to the donors and sponsors, and especially the people down at Carter Road. Like they were incredibly helpful. Ryan, Bree, everyone over there was amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Nate. I want to do go-karts now. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Spencer.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am Spencer Pinkway, and I was an intern this summer at the Boys and Girls Club as well. Next slide, please. A little about me. I am a rising senior. I am a double major in English and education, and thus I'm working to become a high school English teacher of sorts. Next slide, please. So personally, after going to a summer camp in my childhood, I always thought that the dream summer gig would be a summer camp counselor. And I'd already spent 3 semesters of college as a site coordinator at the Boys and Girls Club for Carter Road. So I knew a lot of the members and staff already. It seemed like a perfect opportunity for me to further my relationship with the Geneva Community Center and apply for this role. Next slide, please. So as mentioned before, the Boys and Girls Club, it hosts about 60 to 70 fourth to ninth graders, and the 5-week summer camp schedule is Mondays through Thursdays. We're there from 11:30 to 5:30, and they have the 3 rotations, 3 kids' choices, and a snack time. And the 6 different rooms they were alternating around were culture, art, nature, STEM, gym, and the games room. And then, of course, Fridays were the field trips. And that's when we get there earlier. The whole day is from 8:30 to 5:30. We went bowling to the zoo, Clubhouse Fun Center, and Seabreeze Water Park, which was the best. Next slide, please. My specific role was a program coordinator in the team lounge, where I was just placed wherever another staff is needed. This summer, the teen lounge was the culture room. So here we taught the members about things around the world, like the different countries and continents, different sports, animals, foods they have. In one activity that we led, we had a taste test where the kids got to try 6 snacks from 6 different countries, and they really ate that up, metaphorically and literally. Next slide, please. Thus, I developed and acquired old and new skills here. So, in working to keep the kids respectful, responsible, and safe, I was collaborating with the colleagues, building relationships with the kids, and maintaining patience, handling any conflict resolution or crisis management scenarios that came up. And it really helped me to become a better leader. Next slide, please. Takeaways. Initially, I found that it was really hard to connect with members, even the ones that I had known prior. But with every week, they got more comfortable with me and I became more comfortable with them. So, what became the hardest part of the job was striking the balance then between doing my job, but having fun and keeping a good relationship with each of the kids. Each of them were so different, and that was a challenge. It allowed me to take a looking glass as well into the Geneva community demographics and prepared me to approach the job as such, handled with care, for so many words. Next slide, please. So in the future, I hope to take on a higher role of a part-time staff member at the club as I go into my senior year. Next slide, please. And I guess finally, my favorite summer memories, they got to be relating to the kids on nerdy comic book things or TV shows or movies like superheroes. I talked to them about that stuff so much, and I taught them card games, especially Garbage, and it was really a treat to watch it spread throughout the whole thing and be like, oh, like, do you know how to play Garbage? Spencer taught us how to play Garbage, like, and everybody was doing it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. It was just a blast to like get into like those laughing fits with them and travel around on the bus rides or the field trips. And even though it was challenging coming home to like a Hobart campus, the summer job was just as rewarding as it was challenging. So I really would like to just extend a thank you to Katie and Peter and the entire Boys and Girls Club staff, and of course the donors, because it was a phenomenal summer. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you. Well done. Next, Julia.
Hi guys, my name is Julia, and this summer I was a summer intern at a Boys and Girls Club of Geneva. Next, please. So, about me, I am a rising senior, class of 2026. I am a psychology major and social minor, and I am part of the women's beach soccer team, and I am an international student from Brazil. Next, please. I had the amazing opportunity of working at both sides of the Boys and Girls Club of Geneva, and that just made this opportunity even more wonderful as I was able to connect with much more kids than I thought at first. Next, please. My main responsibilities was organize and assist the daily activities and around the world sessions at Goodman with Caroline, which who is also a Will Smith alum, and she was a summer of service intern. I provided the support for Emma when I went to Carter to help and assist them there. I mentor kids ranging from 5 to 13 years old, and that was amazing to have that age gap. And it was so incredible to see how they just grow up all of a sudden and the different talks they have and the different aspects the kids bring into the program. I kept the kids safe in all of the facilities with active supervision. And most importantly, I have fun with all of them. I think all of us, all of the interns doing the field trips became one of the kids. And as Spencer said, it was one of the most hard things to do is to keep that balance of like, I want to have fun, but I also have to look out for them. But it was the best time. Next, please. About a little bit of my personal experience. Until I was 12 years old, my mom was a principal in both middle school and kindergarten. And as I am her best friend, I would always go to work with her, and I would love to see the kids always. And working at the Boys and Girls Club, it was so unique for me because it opened my eyes not only for my future and what I wanted to keep working with, but also for my past. And it just made me even more proud of my mom because this work is such a essential work for our little ones. Next, please. My post-graduating plans is I plan to apply for OPT and stay in the US for another year. I do want to pursue my master's degree in Europe as I am half Portuguese. And working at a Boys and Girls Club also showed me how bad I want to be a social worker and give the children the opportunities I had as I come from a low economic social status. And I was able to connect with many child psychologists and social workers throughout our training week. And that just made it even more clear in my head because they love their job and they emphasize me that they need people that want to make the difference for the kids. Next, please. That's it. I want to thank you all for making this opportunity happen, to provide a better future for the kids of Geneva, and also for showing me how grateful I have, how grateful the mom that I have is. Thank you.
Love that. Send her the recording. Great job, Julia. Thank you. All right, Cassie, taking a break from LSAT studying.
Right. My name's Cassie, and I served as the Cecil Summer of Service intern this summer. Next. So a little bit about me. I'm a rising senior, majoring in writing and rhetoric and minoring in American Studies. I'm from Sterling, Massachusetts, where I have 2 cats, 1 dog, 2 goats, and 12 ducks. I started working with Cecil my freshman fall as a tutor, then became a site coordinator, and then served as the civic leader of literacy last school year. And I hope to go on to pursue a legal career in education law or advocacy. Next. As a summer intern, I served as a leader of Cecil, managed program assessment on Cecil initiatives, maintained communication with Cecil staff, helped with project planning for the upcoming year, and helped with volunteer initiatives that were happening over the summer. Next. So here are a few of my experiences from the summer. My positions and tasks were not focused on one thing, which gave me a lot of flexibility to do multiple things. I got to know Geneva better, worked in the office with Katie and Peter, spoke at the Community Development Society, drafted the annual Compass Times report, met and trained new staff, assisted with the transition of office buildings, helped with North Street Field Day and the summer intern barbecue, and worked on transfer articulation agreements with Susan Plimer. Next. In early July, I had the privilege of attending and speaking at the 2025 Community Development Society Annual Conference. Moderated by Craig Talmadge, the panel I spoke on was called People-Based Approaches to Community Change and explored the power of community partnerships, engagement, youth development, and relationship building in driving meaningful change. I was especially grateful to be able to represent the HWS Tutor Corps, sharing how student-led work in local schools complements broader initiatives like Success for Geneva's Children, Geneva 2030, and programs from the Geneva Public Library. Next. So living on campus this summer for the first time, I've had some amazing memories. Some of my favorites were when my family came up to visit me for my birthday, hiking Watkins Glen, getting ice cream at Mr. Twisty's, which happened on multiple occasions, seeing the sunrise and sunset over Seneca Lake, and boating with the other interns. Next. Through this experience, I've learned to practice and hone my public speaking and interpersonal skills, engage in outreach and support, as well as the community, develop initiatives, and evaluate programs. I've learned that the only way to really open doors is through open communication. Also working part-time in a tasting room at Scout Vineyards, I was able to speak to many different individuals and share my love of Geneva with them who were visiting. So the summer has truly been an incredible experience, offering a deeper understanding of both myself and my community. Next. Thank you for listening, and thank you especially to our donors for making this possible, as well as Katie and Peter for all their guidance and support these past few months.
Good job, Cassie. Thank you so much. All right. And I think last but certainly not least, Holden May.
Oh, I'm last. Uh-oh. Hi, my name is
This is
Holden
fun.
May. This is my presentation on my summer service as a forest instructor. Next slide, please. So, why I volunteered, a quick summary of who I am. I grew up in the Philippines, which means I grew up in a city. I didn't have a lot of experiences to go outside and explore nature. I moved to Texas where I got a bit more time outside, but it was a bit more dangerous than it is up in here in New York, where we don't have nearly as many poisonous snakes or spiders. Um, Before I came to SOS, I was a coach for deaf students, at-risk youth, and veterans at a rowing camp. And I worked on the ARC college experience as an assistant here my sophomore year. I'm also a sociology major. Next slide, please. So how I volunteer, what I did at SOS. SOS has two acronyms, both summer of service and students outside all summer, which is a program of Geneva 2030, started last year. So this is the second year running. It's a 6-week program with 6 different themes going on, one new every week. We have 5 groups split ages 5 to 12. We have roughly 12 to 19 kids per group, changes every week, every day. And we're outside all day. We're either exploring habitats in the creek, foraging shelter building out in the forest, or experience the water cycle in the rain. I think, like Miles mentioned, we're outside all day. We also go on weekly field trips and have guests come in and talk to us. We went to Titanic Falls, like Asher mentioned, the most science museum in Syracuse, a fish hatchery where we got to see the life cycle of fishes, and the Geneva Fire Department came and gave us a little show. Next slide, please. So how I volunteer, this is what I actually did this summer. Next slide's perfect. One of the main things that was supporting new experiences. For a lot of these kids, it was their first time out in nature, out in the forest, away from their iPads, like some of my peers mentioned. So building dams in the creek was a big experience that a lot of these kids haven't done before. Swimming in the river, safely handling frogs and snakes was a big part of this summer, learning how to hold them, and avoiding fire ants and leeches, and as of today, ground hornets, which we managed to avoid some of them, but not always, as you know, with nature. Next slide, please. Encouraging teamwork was another big aspect of the job. whether it's building tree forts or identifying birds, trees, and frogs as part of one of our competitions between the groups. And today we managed to create and bait fish traps that we laid. So encouraging teamwork amongst the kids learning how to communicate and work with one another. Next slide, please. So what volunteering taught me, there were a lot of big lessons learned this summer. Next slide. There they all are. Perfect. The number one lesson learned was patience. You know, with a lot of these kids, you can't, similar to a college or high school class, just run through it all. You need to take your time and work at their speed. The other lesson I learned was that children are sponges. I came to camp expecting to teach them sign language. I took a couple years in high school and they learned everything I knew within the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks. I'd end up going to the store and getting a dictionary for them. They're still surpassing me with what they know. And finally was the importance of community. A lot of these kids came to camp not knowing how to act in nature, how to act around larger groups and other kids. So how important learning what is right from wrong in this group setting and learning how to work with others was one of the main takeaways. Next slide. Um, and yeah, thank you for this amazing experience. I've never been able to spend my summer outside of Texas or outside of the Philippines, so it's nice to be able to experience some cooler weather and spend my time teaching these kids what it means to be outside and really learning.
Great job, Holden. Thank you. Of the lessons I hope to learn, holding a snake is not one of them, but I appreciate that you taught it anyway. Thank you. Happy to have folks come off mute if so inclined while I pull up the Menti and roll the dice and see what happens. Hi, Marguerite and Brian.
I mean, I know we're kind of at the end of our time, but we are so impressed by what all of you have done this summer. It's just so many rich experiences and giving so much to Geneva and also to Cecil. Wow, it's just impressive. Do you want to?
Yeah, I think you all learned communication because both Marguerite and I learned a lot. The different perspectives you took, even though you were doing some of the same activities, man, that's the way we learn. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so impressive. Just thank you for your time and actually for committing to this work for the summer.
Thank you. I love it. They all had the same prompt, but that, like you said, took it in different directions. So thank you both so much for your continued support. Mr. Patchett, didn't know if you wanted to say anything. Teacher who recalled your time here and how that launched your thoughts too.
Hi, everyone. Tom Patchett here. And wow, I mean, every year it just seems to be more and more impressive. And I love how one of you said that you wanted to promote a joyful, curious environment. And I really grabbed onto that and promote a calm mind. And I wanted to be part of all of your days, and that I think that says a lot. I mean, it's outside, engaging, and so Maya, Emma, Joya, Long, Kayla, Asher, Juliana, Rebecca, Anna, Nate, Spencer, Julia, Cassie, and Holden. Just phenomenal service, and I value it, and I'm so grateful to support it. Thank you.
So grateful to you all. I know the evening's wrapping up, and I just wanted to reflect as we close on in a world where we think a lot about tablets and time on social media and AI. The authenticity of what you all shared, what just totally came through, which I think it was captured in Marguerite, Brian, and Tom's remarks. And then this is the word cloud of what clearly came through as well. Leadership, hard work, professional, curious, authentic, educational, trial and error, growth, caregiver, connected with community. So I just close with gratitude to our interns. You captured in about an hour and 11 minutes what spent 3,500 hours this summer contributing. And like the ripple effect of what I know you've contributed, it will be long lasting. So congrats. I know the school year, you have a couple more weeks before it starts, so enjoy. And thank you to our partners and donors. We couldn't do this work without you, for sure. So thank you, and we'll see you next summer. Bye, friends. Great job, everybody. Good luck
Katie.
packing
Bye.
up. Great job. Thank you, everybody. So nice to see everybody, including Allison, who was a former summer of service intern. I love it. Bye, friends.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
I'll send the eval out one more time too. I think we're in good shape.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.